Welcome back, everybody, to another one of our convos. Today, joining me is Sarah McTaggart. Is that correct? From Transviolet. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys just dropped a new single called Destroy, Destroy, Destroy. And we're going to obviously talk about that and kind of some of what you guys got going on this year. But before that, can we kind of, for listeners who don't know you guys, can we kind of talk about how you guys started? How did you get your start in music and stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in a really musical family. My dad is also a singer. He's a Caymanian folk singer. My great aunt Layla actually wrote the Caymanian national anthem. So I just come from like a long line of like musicians and singers, and every family reunion, someone's breaking out a guitar and everyone's singing harmonies. So it was just definitely just like in my blood, and just, I was soaking in it as a kid. And then, started writing my own songs when I was about like 15, 16. I got my own guitar and started playing open mic nights when I was in art school. And I really loved it. Couldn't get away from it. And then when I was around like 19, I decided I wanted to be in a band. And so I kind of accidentally catfished my bandmates. I didn't mean to, but looking back, like I totally did. I was still living in the Cayman Islands, and I put a profile up on a musician networking site saying that I lived in San Diego because I wanted to live in San Diego, but I had like no means of getting to San Diego. I think I literally had like $40 on my bank account, and just like I wasn't in San Diego. But Mike, my now bandmate, found my profile. Was like, hey, I really like your voice. Do you want to sing over this track? And, I'd had a few other people reach out, and like nothing was really connecting, but what he sent was like really, really cool. And I wanted to be a part of it. Sounded really fresh. And so I was like, I definitely am down. But I have to let you know, like, I'm not actually in San Diego. I'm actually 3,000 miles away in the Cayman Islands, and I'm going to try to make my way over there. But he was very understanding. And so we made music, just kind of like sending files back and forth for about a year. And that's how we put together our first EP, like Postal Service style. And then just kind of threw all that shit up on like Reverb Nation at the time. I don't know if you remember what that was.
I remember. This is the early days of like music.
Yeah, this was like the MySpace of like musician like stuff. This was like before Bandcamp even was a thing. But we put all of our stuff on there, and then ended up getting the attention of a label in LA, and they signed us and moved us out to LA. And like the rest is history. We ended up signing with Epic Records. We put out Girls Your Age in 2015, which got a lot of crazy attention. Katy Perry ended up like tweeting out that it was her song of the day. And then Harry Styles tweeted the lyrics, and
that's a big one.
Just started like this crazy whirlwind of like, holy shit, like what the hell did we get into? All of a sudden, we went from this like little tiny band in San Diego to like, we're opening for 21 Pilots and like Dua Lipa and like on TV and shit. So it was just like, it was a lot out of nowhere. And now we are fully independent. We started our own label. And we've been putting out music like that for the last couple years, and it's been my favorite part of this journey so far.
That's very cool. So, I mean, you say catfishing. Some people say like self-manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. Some people call it that catfishing. I like to call it manifesting my future, but people might feel differently depending on the day.
It all worked out in the end. You did.
It all worked out. We all got along. My band wasn't upset about it. They were very cool. And like, now we're all like best friends. They're like my brothers, my family. So it all worked out in the end.
You say you from the Cayman Islands, correct?
My heritage is from there. I spent like several years there growing up. It's the place, I guess, that's like closest to home to anything else. I moved around so much as a kid that it's kind of hard to call anywhere home, but most of my family is there, and most of my roots are there. And they've adopted me, so that's my home.
So I was gonna ask, like, how would you say, like, well, since you grew up all over the place, how would you say like those different environments kind of influenced you musically, or like in your career? You think?
Yeah, I'd say like definitely every single place has its own like musical flavors. So just like kind of experiencing the different music from those different places, I'm sure had an impact, but also just like being so lonely as an adolescent had a big effect because I didn't really have any close friends because we moved so often that like music became the only constant.
Okay.
So I just kind of became like obsessed with music and obsessed with writing. My guitar was like my BFF and just that became that became my everything because it was something I could hold on to even when everything in my external world was changing. I still had this thing that felt like me, that felt like my identity. So I think that made that really influenced me becoming an artist and becoming a musician.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's really cool. I think that's one of the best things about music is just kind of like how universal it is, like how it can reach people no matter where they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there was like just so many times, where I felt so alone or so ostracized and, just like having these songs, these lyrics to hold on to, it felt like someone was talking directly to me. And, I remember hearing like Radiohead's Creep for the first time and just be like, yeah, I fucking feel like that, little 13, 14-year-old me, or like hearing, Paramore and stuff and just, feeling that teen angst and all that good stuff.
So who would you say were like some of your biggest, musical influences growing up?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, my parents definitely like raised me on stuff like the Beach Boys and I discovered like the Beatles and Nirvana when I went to art school, like for the first time. Cause I was actually had like a pretty sheltered upbringing. I was like my parents were super religious. So like, it was the only like secular music that got to me was like stuff that was like super like clean, like the Beach Boys or like Dolly Parton, like stuff like that. But then all of a sudden I'm in art school and it's like everything is completely unfiltered and I'm hearing like Karma Police by Radiohead for the first time at 19. Just like, oh my gosh, who is this? And my roommate's like, this is Radiohead, you weirdo. But I wouldn't take it back. So yeah, I'd say like Radiohead, Nirvana, Yeah Yeahs, Bright Eyes. Like all that kind of like Broken Social Scene, Feist. Yeah, Feist had a big influence. Hayley Williams of Paramore, obviously, like how she sings and her voice. Sia, like all those, and then like more recently, people like Lana Del Rey and even like Halsey. I think have had a really big impact on our sound. And The Weeknd has had a big influence on like how we do our production. Is that enough? Like how I feel like it's one of those questions I could just like keep listing. Yeah, just keep going forever.
Yeah, I could definitely hear some like, some of that more like alternative pop, like dark pop influences from like some of those artists that you named. So I was going to just ask also like, how would you kind of describe your sound to like somebody who's just like getting into you guys?
Indie pop. Apocalypse pop. We're making music for the end of the world. But aren't we all, right? Whether we know it or not.
Okay. So you did just drop a new single, Destroy. Yeah. How's the response been to that? And kind of how was like your creative process going into like that single?
Yeah, the response has been really cool. We ended up getting on hold on, I'm just going to close this window because there's a garbage truck being so big. Okay, that was so loud. So we got on the Villain Mode playlist on Spotify, which I feel like just completely fits the song. It is a very like villain mode, villain era song. The song itself, I was writing about the destruction that comes before creation. So if you have like these limiting beliefs or you have something that's holding you back, you have to clear all that shit out before reinventing yourself, before coming into your power. I really liked that image of like, burning a field before you plant something new.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, I can definitely picture it all like in the head. It was a great song. That's when I heard it. I was like, oh, I definitely feel like we got to talk to these guys.
Oh, thank you.
What was I going to ask? I almost forgot what I was going to ask. But
look at this. I'm so bad about wearing freaking eye makeup. I was like, just like rubbing my eye. I was like, I just rubbed it everywhere. It's a vibe.
We're all just getting through it. At this point, we're all just getting through it.
Yeah.
But you guys also released another project this year in 2022, right?
We released a song called Run Towards the Monster about 6 weeks prior to releasing Destroy, Destroy, Destroy. And they're all building into a full body of work called Body. And all these songs are somatic. They're more felt than they are cerebral. So I think in the past when we were writing, it would come from a very cerebral place where you're like, okay, like I'm thinking this out. This is what it's going to be. Where these ones are more just like, I'd show up to the studio, just kind of like feel what I was feeling in my body and like just kind of like let it come out. And it's been kind of cool to witness like what that's produced. And we wanted each song to be able to be connected and flow like a body. So when we were thinking about the musical arrangement, we made that happen. So if you listen to Destroy, Destroy, Destroy into Run Towards the Monster now, you'll hear how it flows together. And we're going to be continuing that with the next several singles that lead up to the full album. And yeah, we hope that when people listen now, they can think about kind of like where they're feeling it in their body and that it'll help them kind of drop in, and be more embodied.
Okay, that's cool. Definitely excited to hear, the whole body of project. But how, like, kind of what is your creative process? Like when it comes to songwriting, do you guys get together and like write some stuff out together? Do you write some stuff and then bring it to them and kind of work together like that? How do you guys go about creating music?
It's different every time. I mean, so for Destroy, 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 for instance, I did have like a pretty good idea of what I wanted it to be before I came into the session. I knew I really liked the title Destroy, Destroy, Destroy. And this one kind of came from like a place of like the solar plexus, like in my body. And so I was like just really feeling into that. And then just kind of sat down at the piano that day and just kind of like found the notes that felt like that. And so in the beginning, you hear that. That note repeating itself. And then, I felt very, as the producer was kind of like moving on, like he was kind of trying some things. I was like, no, I just really feel like it's like this progression. And then we like fleshed it out. Once we had that, like it started all coming together and we fleshed it out from there. But there's other songs where like the guys will come to me with a fully, like almost fully produced track. And then I'll just like lay the vocals over it. So it's such a collaborative process. And, everyone is so talented and has such a unique creative identity that it's like, I feel like we'll just never run out of ideas because like whenever someone dries up, another person like just starts like having all these ideas. Yeah. It's a really cool project to be a part of. And we've built a really cool community of collaborators and producers that we work with as well. So I'm just like really grateful for it.
That's cool. So you guys have been at it for a while now. So how would you say kind of like your sound or your process has evolved since those early days?
Oh man. I think just like knowing what I'm trying to say now makes a big difference. In the beginning, I think it was just really scary because we had a lot of external pressure from like the label we were on and, just like everyone on our team to like just have this like crazy stratospheric success and everything felt very like urgent and very like it has to be the biggest thing ever or it doesn't mean anything, like, which is just kind of like looking back is just like so ridiculous and like not even like helpful to the creative process. So I'm like really glad that I just like know that that's not true now. And so now when I'm creating, I just there's just so much freedom. And when I'm writing now, it's just, I forget even what your original question was. What was, I feel like I've got.
This is how you evolved, like your sound.
Oh, I see.
In the early days.
Yeah. I think you can hear it, that there's just way more freedom and there's way more space. And there's like a definite voice, whereas before it kind of maybe felt more like all over the place, or you can kind of like hear that there was maybe some pressure to like be on radio or like fit a certain thing. Like, there's a lot of people being like, you should sound like this person, or you should sound like that person, or like, you should try this, you should try that. And now, this is just who we are. So I think that's, we have a lot more creative control, I guess is like the nutshell answer.
Yeah. I mean, because speaking of that, you said earlier that you guys have started your own label, so you no longer have to like answer to,
Anybody. Yeah. I put out the music that I want when I want, and it's the best thing ever. Yeah.
How long have you guys started this label? And what do you guys kind of plan on doing with it in the future? Like just doing yourselves? You guys plan on bringing other people in?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. Right now, it's just, it's Transviolet partnership. And like, we literally just created it for the purpose of putting out Transviolet music. But, things evolve, and I'd be willing to see where it evolves. But yeah, to answer your question, we started it in like late 2019.
Okay.
Like when we were releasing the Born to Rule album. That was like the first self-released album. And then like COVID happened. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What are we doing? But no, now I'm like so grateful for it. And I think it was like the best decision we ever made. And yeah, maybe in the future it would be cool to like release other artists under it. I guess it's just like, after having such bad experiences with labels, I would really want to make sure that I could support and foster artists in the way that I would want to be supported.
Yeah.
And so I think we'd have to grow more before that could happen, but yeah, maybe in the future.
Yeah, that's a story that's been told, like, obviously through the entirety of music history, is basically label issues and dealing with people that aren't necessarily the most creative and don't really understand like the creative process. So like, aside from the creative process, like label wise, how would you say like you guys being independent, what's the main kind of benefits to that? And do you see any like drawbacks that you've seen from being like independent, or
there's definitely pros and cons, I mean, like being on a major label, it's like, especially when things were going well, which things were for us for a while, like when all that, crazy shit was happening in the beginning, it's like doors were opening for us, the bank accounts were opening for us, it's just like, oh my gosh, like people were just like throwing money at you to be able to kind of like do what you want, but it does come at a price, right? It's like, if people are throwing that much money at you, they're going to expect to have a say in what you're doing. They're going to expect something in return. And that's the quid pro quo of it all, is like, okay. So yeah, now I guess like the benefit is like, we have complete creative control. We're able to put the music we want out when we want to, and it can be as weird out or as like out there as we want. The con is like, sometimes you do that and things flop, like, because you're the only person saying yes or no. And sometimes things just like don't go how you think they're going to go. And, another con is like, yeah, sometimes you have to make like really tough decisions, like financially, because there are limitations. You're not on a major label that has millions of dollars to back you up. You're an independent artist that, just has your income from streaming and synchronizations and those kind of things coming in, which is like, it's all awesome. It's great to like have that power and have that control and have that, that income coming in. But it means like, even like right now, we're getting ready to go on a support tour in the fall. And so that means we're like not able to, or like we're having to come up with more creative ways to like fund music videos and stuff like that now, because it's like, all right, well, that's just not in the budget right now,
Yeah. There's definitely pros and cons of being, on both sides, but I think creatively you'll start to see, well, you're probably already saying like, you just feel like so much more freeing, like you said earlier.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's like every artist will have to like make that decision for themselves. And I think just what to think about if you're thinking about signing to a label is like, these people, this is a business, like that's a business for them. Like, do you want your music to be a business? Because like, that's what it's going to be. The people are going to be looking at the numbers. They're going to want to make it profitable. Like that's going to be their priority. Like no matter what they're saying to you, because they're going to say all the nice things to you. Like that is what it's going to be their focus. And like, is that what you want? And yeah, everybody has to decide for themselves. I'm not even now, like knowing all that, I'm not sure I'd take back my experience with labels because it did get us where we were, so, I don't know. It's a tough call.
And now you have that knowledge, from both sides. So, knowledge is always beneficial. Right.
Exactly. It's like, I wouldn't go back and like not sign the deals that we signed. Well, maybe one of them I wouldn't have signed, but I don't know if I would sign another one now,
Yeah.
But we're in a different place. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay. And you guys are also kind of known for your viral like marketing tactics that you've had like in the past with, like you were saying, what is this Girls Your Age? Do you guys have anything planned for, any of your new singles, anything interesting?
We have some fun stuff coming up. Yeah, I definitely say like if you want to be involved, like join our mailing list or our Patreon. We have some like really cool like exclusive things coming up that are going to be like really fun, really subversive. And they're going to be like live events, like which I'm like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin the surprise, but yeah, definitely like if you're into things like secret shows, like cool. join our stuff. And we have some like really cool surprises like coming up within the next couple months. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. And for people that don't know, can you kind of walk us through like how your Girls Your Age marketing kind of happened? Like whose idea, like what was the response to that? Like,
yeah, so that was actually our manager at the time, JJ Corsini, like genius guy, came up with this idea to send blank cassette tapes in the mail, like on unmarked packages. And the cassette just said, just press play. And there's no return address. It's literally just like handwritten everything. And so like people were just like getting these packages in the mail that were, you know, these blank packages and with this cassette that said just press play. And they were like, what the fuck is this? And it was our song Girls Your Age. And so, you know, this started kind of like a bunch of conversations online of like people trying to figure out, because we sent out like 2,000 of them, you know, like this is when we still had like that label money to like do that kind of stuff. And yeah, like people were just like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, I got this weird package in the mail and, it did exactly what we wanted it to do. You know, I mean, there was a couple people that were like upset by it. Like we had a few moms like reaching out to us, like, this is just like so fucked up. Why are you sending my child like mail? Like, what is this? A couple people like thought they had like a stalker and, you know, looking back, I was like, oh yeah, that's very, it is just like the plot of Saw. So I could see now why maybe like when people would get freaked out, but that's what we wanted, you know, and it worked. So
marketing at its finest right there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Awesome. So obviously you guys are working on, you know, more songs. You're going to be putting them out. You said throughout the year. You said Body will be out this year.
It will be out by it'll be out by like February of next year. It'll all be out. So yeah, we are going to continue to release singles every 6 weeks. So yeah, the next one is out August 12th. It's called Love and Power. Really excited to release that one. It's actually kind of like a follow-up to Girls Your Age. I wanted to retell the story because the story is a story that like made our career. And it's about a relationship that in hindsight, as a grown person now, looking back at the whole thing, I realized was a very like toxic and abusive relationship. And it hints at it in Girls Your Age, but it's still very like glossed over and romanticized. Yeah. So in Love and Power, I wanted it to be a bit more, I don't even want to say honest, because Girls Your Age was honestly how I felt about it at the time, but it doesn't feel as honest for me now. So I wanted to rewrite the song through the lens of like what I know now, I guess. Yeah.
It's more experience, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited for everybody to hear that one. And out August 12th. So yeah. Okay.
We'll definitely stay tuned for that one. And you guys are going to be going on any tours? What do you guys have in the future?
Yeah, we're going on tour in the fall. We're opening up. This is like our first support tour in a really long time. We're opening up for Sir Sly and Mother Mother. We're going all over the U.S. I don't know who like listens. Is it mostly like LA people that listen to this podcast or like drop where we're going to be in LA? All over the place. Yeah. All right. Well, you can go check out the dates online because I don't have them all memorized, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, we're going all over the place, like all over the U.S. This fall. I think it starts September 29th and then it ends November 9th. So come find us. It's going to be a great show. It's our biggest ever US tour. We're playing the biggest venues we've ever played. And so we're super stoked.
All right, cool. We'll have all the details and all their socials and links all down below this podcast, wherever you guys are listening. So, you know, people will be able to stay up with you guys. Thank you for joining us today. It was very good talking to you. Really enjoyed the song. Really looking forward to, you know, their next couple singles and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to cover some of that too.
So good talking to you too. Thanks for having me on.